Okay, so we are almost ready now to try to add some animations of your own if you want to change your animations using the animator. So remember that our character has an animator attached to it. So if I select my character inside of the zombie idle, we know that this character has an animator that's been added to it, and it has the animator called the YBot controller idle. And that animator allows us to make different animations during our gameplay. So since there's an animator that's already been added to this component on this character, we're going to be able to just click on animator at the top of our screen, and we'll see that this character, Zombie Idol, has all of these animations added to it already. So I've already added some animations. You can see that there's always going to be a set default state, and this one's called stand idle. So if I double click on stand idle, and if I didn't see this character standing here, if it was blank right now in this play mode underneath the standing idle, what I could do is just click on my zombie idle with the left mouse button inside the hierarchy here that's blue. On the left hand side, you can see if I drag that holding down the left mouse button, and if I dragged it all the way across, I could drop it into this play inspector window for me to see what the character looks like. So if you don't have a character here and it says no model, just left click on your zombie idle, hold down your left mouse button and drag it into that spot. So that's perfect now for you to see what this idle position looks like. That's stand idle. And now I want to be able to go through and maybe see what some of the other ones are. So this would be slow run. So slow run is running all the time. Jump, well, this character does not have the loop button turned on. So there's only going to just jump over an item, and you can see that's jumping over the item. Now, all of these have had transitions added to them, and that's this arrow that connects these two animations. They've already had these transitions added to them. You can see from stand idle, it jumps to slow run. It has this little windows for setting for seeing how fast it starts and ends inside this timing of this animation. After the slow run, it jumps over to jump, and if I double click or go into the jumps transition, it shows that it's moving from, again, slow run to jump, and then it goes back again, transition back through slow run, goes back from jump to slow run. Now these transitions have all been added for you, so if you wanted to change them, you would have to do the following. Inside of your assets folder, you have an animations folder. Now that animations folder has all of these animations have already been added to your given package that you're using for this tutorial. If you wanted to add your own, remember Mixamo was a place that you could go through and add your own using Mixamo. So if you wanted to, you could go onto Mixamo and you could download another animation to your computer. And I've downloaded one right now. I'm just going to open it up. In Mixamo, it's called Front Twist Flip. That Front Twist Flip file, I'm going to show you that if I opened up that downloads folder and I left mouse button and drag that Front Twist Flip FBX file into this animation folder, it'll show up again as an animation FBX file. So it has the little arrow on the right. I can expand that model, and you'll see there has a rigging, an animation, and some materials. I can expand that model to show me the animation that's from Mixamo. That's the animation right here that I left mouse button clicked on inside of that FBX file. So just expand that file if you download one in. You'll expand that file, select the animation, and then go Control D on your keyboard. And it's going to copy that Mixamo animation onto its own separate item inside of your animation folder. So right here it says Mixamo, and I'm going to rename that one as Front Twist. And now that I have that animation, I'm actually going to take this animated FBX file, this model and rigging, and I'm just going to left mouse and drag it into my animation folder to get rid of it because it's in the way and I'm not going to use it. All I need to have are these animations with this given model because it's the same model that I'm using for this YBot controller. And now the one that says front flip, if I hit play, That's the front flip. So instead of it maybe going from a jump, maybe I want my character to do a front flip. So let's see how I can do that. I'm going to drag this front twist animation right onto this animator. And here it says front twist. And then I'm going to right click on it and make transition. And that transition is going to go back to this slow run. And from the slow run, I'm going to make a transition and go back to front twist. So it kind of has these arrows you can see. Now these arrows are transition arrows. Now the one thing I need to do is I need to be able to tell the computer how to change from this jump back to the slow run. And we've done that using these parameters. And I've added them by adding inside of this scene right here, inside of my parameters, inside of my animator, I'm going to add something called a trigger. And I'm going to click on the plus button. And here you're going to see there's floats, ints, bools, and triggers, but I'm going to add a trigger for a front twist. And I'm going to click on trigger and I'm going to name it front capital T twist. So it's really important that I keep the spelling because I need to use this front twist inside of my transition. So you can see from my jump transition, it had a transition added to it that went from slow run to jump. Well, I want to go from slow run to front twist, and I want to go back from front twist to slow run, but I have to tell the computer when to access this transition. Because right now, the transition is already attached, but I need to attach it in the script. So this word front twist, I'm going to go back to my assets folder and go back to my scripts folder. And you've already opened in your scripts folder this YBot controller. So I'm going to go into that YBot controller. And right here where it says inside of my Visual Studio Code, we're now seeing that the actual animation was added into the awake function. And right here it says this get component animator. So this is where it's telling the computer to get that component animator. And I called it anim as a variable. And I said anim as a variable at the start. It sets the start to slow run right here at the start. But on the update function, whenever I hit the keyboard space down, it switches to jump. And this is the word I need to change right here. I need to change that to that front twist. And inside of that, I'm going to type in on my void update inside of this function where it says this if statement. I'm going to click right here where it says set trigger, and I'm going to change that to front twist with a capital T. So F-R-O-N-T, capital T-W-I-S-T, and then I'm going to save that. And now if I go back to my scene inside of my Unity, instead of it going from my jump on my keyboard spacebar, it's going to jump to the front twist. So I've changed it. So now instead of it doing the regular jump, it's going to now change to a front twist and do the rollover. So it's running, and now there's the front twist. And you can see that's the front twist that's happening. And the front twist, because it has that motion where the character is moving forward from Mixamo, and it's not a motion in place, you can see that the character is going to jump all the way forward in the scene, and that would be something else that would have to be controlled. So for this one, right now we saw that we can go to animator, we could find our different animations inside of the animation folder, we could have our front twist not set to a loop, so it's not on a loop. We changed our animator to go from our jump, we added the front twist, we added the transition by right-clicking on our front twist icon, make transition and drag the arrow to slow run, and then we right-clicked on slow run, made transition back to front twist. And then inside of our script, we changed that to front twist, and then we saved our file. We were able to change how our actual game looks when we play it. Now the character is jumping forward. So now there would need to be some changes. But there we go. So character jumps, character jumps. So we can see there that our character on that collision, though, they didn't die when we were looking at that one, and they didn't go back into stop our given animation. So set trigger front twist, and then here on our stop animation set trigger dying, we'd need to add that dying to that set of options. So right now it doesn't go and affect our player, and that would be back here inside of our actual animator. It says that we went from, say, slow run, and that one went from slow run to falling down. That was a transition that happened, and we don't have that added in because that would be one more step that we have to do. So slow run, flip, and that was how we did our twist. And if you want to add a different animation, you can add your animations doing that. So give that a try. If you don't like how it works, you would just have to delete, or you could actually leave your transitions. If you don't like the function, how it's working, just change it back to the other word, which was now jump. And then the jump function is going to work for trigger. But just make sure it's spelled exactly the same. And then save that file. So there you go. That's how you make your animations using your Visual Studio, using your animator, and that's how you can then change for some of those transitions during your game. So we have key down. Maybe if you wanted to add a different key down instead of space, you could also have get key down, maybe using the X button. That would make your character maybe dance or spin. You could add those into here by adding that extra, say, and input dot get key down, and then you would be able to say that you'd have key code. So we'd be able to add key code, and that might be for, say, the letter V or the letter X or the letter T, and then it would go through and it would actually call for that key code in there. So if we had and the letter T, then something would happen. We could have something else occur. So those are all the things we can add to inside of our functionality for our on update. But right now, hopefully you got those ones done. You've added a new animation, download an animation, and see if you can make your own animation occur inside of that scene.